Kristin, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so excited to talk to you. How are you?
Thank you, Richard. I'm doing fine. How are you?
Good. For a second, before we were on air, we were talking about care about rare. I love the shirt. I love the slogan. It's
Yes.
awesome. I love everything about it, the color, everything. So we'll talk more about that in a second. But I just wanted to jump in right with that right away because it's very cool that you have that on.
Thank you.
Folks, joining us tonight on Rare Awareness Radio is Kristin Anderson. Kristin, you are the co-founder of the v-ATPase Alliance, and we'll get into what that is. But I know at a high level, really, you're just a global community of parents, right? Caregivers, scientists, advocates, so many people dedicated to improving the lives of people who are affected with this rare genetic disorder, which we will get into. Kristin, I know there's a lot of personal aspects to this story as well, and I'm delighted that you want to share those personal aspects with us as well. So many of the founders that we talk to, we know this comes from a very personal place. So thank you for doing that. But Kristin, maybe we'll just start with a little introduction of yourself in your own words, if you could tell us a little bit about you.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you for giving me the chance to be here. I mean, it means a lot to have the chance to talk and tell our story. I mean, we're such an ultra rare disorder.
Mm.
So thank you, Richard, and to Scott for giving us the platform and a chance to talk more about our disorder and our kids and what we're trying to do. So I appreciate that. But yeah, I'm Kristin Anderson, and I live in Houston, Texas, with my husband, Dave. We've been married almost 15 years, and we have 3 boys.
Mm.
So there's a lot of noise in my
I
house.
said that's a busy household.
Yes.
You live with 4 men.
The only reason why it is quiet right now is because I sent them all out of the house for the following hour. Because otherwise there would be boys running in and out and it would be chaos. So
I see. Yeah, living
anyway,
with 4 men must be challenging at times.
it,
Yeah,
it, it can be. It can be. I do love them though, obviously.
of course.
Yes. So yeah, my oldest Jacob is my special rare, super rare guy. He is 12 years old.
Mhm.
And then I also have an almost 10-year-old boy and an almost 4-year-old boy next
Wow.
week. So
Wow.
uh,
Congratulations to your
yeah,
4-year-old or almost 4-year-old.
yeah. So we've got a span of ages and interests and abilities. So it's never a dull moment in our house.
I bet not. Yeah, and you live in one of my favorite cities in the world, so that's so
Oh,
amazing.
well, I'm
Yeah.
glad to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah. I used to spend a lot of time in Houston when I was working with MD Anderson and
Yeah.
Houston Heart and all these Texas Heart. So really good stuff. You mentioned that this is an ultra rare disease, and I don't think, Kristin, that I really had a true appreciation for this one until I started doing my own research, until you and I spoke. I guess it was just a few days ago when you really helped me to understand just how rare this sort of neurodevelopmental disease is. Can you talk a little bit about the rarity, Kristin?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, we currently, in literature and between what has been published in literature and the people that we have connected with as an organization, there are less than 100 known cases globally. And that's not even in one gene, that's in 4 or 5 different genes that we represent as the
Mhm.
v-ATPase Alliance.
Mm.
So the v-ATPase encompasses multiple subunits. 13 genes in the v-ATPase proton pump are known to be connected with human disease.
Mhm.
But the main ones that we represent are neurodevelopmental, developmental and epileptic
Mhm.
encephalopathies.
Mhm.
It's a mouthful.
Yes.
And a couple other ones as well. And so out of that 100 known patients that I was talking about, that is even split up further by
Wow.
the different genes.
More segmentation by those
More
different genes. Yeah.
segmentation. For instance, my son has a variant on ATP6V1A.
Mhm.
That is the more prevalent gene that is in our group, and there's still only about 40 cases. So that's the
Wow.
largest number of the 100 is
Mm.
that gene, and then the other
Mhm.
ones are even smaller after that. So it is ultra, ultra, ultra rare.
Yes.
They were only described scientifically starting back in 2018, and then a couple of the other genes were described in 2021 and 2022. So we're talking brand new discoveries, still so much to learn, and obviously that drives the reason why it's so ultra rare is because there was never a way to diagnose it previous to that.
One of the things I love about I'm not going to call it mission yet because I do want to get into your mission, but a refrain I saw in sort of the reading I was doing about you folks is this: you say, we were created because of the need for answers, the need for support, and the need for scientific advancement. And I really want to talk about each of those things as your mission. But before we do that, Kristin, again, I just want to double click on the rarity again, because when you and I first met, you told me sort of this fascinating story of you started this Facebook group, as
Yeah.
many of these foundations kind of begin, right? That's sort of their humble beginnings as a Facebook group. You
Yes.
put it up there, you try to meet people. What happened when you put up your Facebook group?
Yeah. So, gosh, I mean, well, not a lot happened in the first year. I'll say that.
That's kind of what I'm getting
Um,
at. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But to backtrack just a little bit,
Sure.
2018, I'll just give the quick story of my son. So he was almost 5 years old in 2018, and up to that point, we did not have any diagnosis. So it had been a long and very lonely and scary road for us as parents. But when we finally got the call that researchers were about to publish their first paper on ATP6V1A, and so that was kind of the diagnosis we were given at the time, you know, you would think that would have brought some relief, like, "Oh, yay,
Sure.
we
You'd be like,
got
oh,
an
we
answer,"
finally have something. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
the first thing I did, I'm a millennial generation, big on Facebook, so I get on Facebook and I type ATP6B1A in to hopefully see if there's a
Find
group out
something.
there or
Yeah.
something, and, there was nothing,
Ugh.
nothing. Which made sense because they had already told me on the phone that Jacob was the 5th documented case at that point.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I guess I wasn't expecting a whole lot, but I thought maybe somehow.
It's like, you can't not have hope, right? Like
Right.
this is a giant world out there, something.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I thought, well, I'm gonna just create a Facebook group, and call it ATP6B1A families, and I'm gonna just hope and pray that as people are getting diagnosed, they turn to Facebook and they type it in and they find our group. And so for the whole first year, it was myself and one other mom from Paris, France, who had a young young son as well. And we literally just sat in that group and we would converse with one another, and we just waited and waited for more people to find us. And surely it did, and it started
Right.
growing. But yeah, it was a slow start.
But I find that fascinating. This like they always talk about the, whatever you want to say, the journey of 1,000 miles and the single step or the spark that ignites the fire. That was the spark, wasn't it, for you folks?
Yes. I
Yeah.
mean, for me, like finally getting an answer, that wasn't enough. Like to know that, okay, the name of the gene is this. Like
Right.
that wasn't enough for me. I wanted to immediately reach out to the scientists in Italy, which I did. I looked, they had sent me the paper that was about to be published in the Brain journal. And I found the leading author's, email address somehow. And I knew he was in Italy. I didn't know whether he spoke English. I didn't know anything, but I was like, I'm going to just take a chance and see if this guy
Roll the dice.
reads my
Yeah.
email. Yeah. And that was, I'll never forget, that was in May of 2018. And it was Mother's Day weekend. And I woke
Wow.
up the next morning on Mother's Day, and he had, because of the time change, he had written to me almost immediately overnight. And I woke up to this long email, and he was just so forthcoming with information. And he said it was a great idea that I start a Facebook group. And I mean, that just kicked off this really wonderful relationship that he and I developed early on, and kind of led to me being just sort of the de facto, representative for all of the families moving forward. And so,
I find that so remarkable that happened on Mother's Day, right?
Mhm.
Like that's a divine sort of thing that
yes,
happened there,
I
right?
agree.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned, you have this beautiful mission. I kind of, like I said, I kind of couched it in answers, support, scientific advancement. Let's start with the support aspect of this, Kristin, and sort of you and your foundation's dedication to community. I think it probably goes without saying that, these communities are so important, especially in the ultra rare space. But can you talk a little bit about how you're sharing experiences, resources through your alliance?
Absolutely. It's funny that you bring that up because literally just yesterday, we had our monthly family Zoom meeting. So
Yeah.
every month, on the 6th of the month, we get together on Zoom. And some months there's no agenda. It's
Hmm.
just come and share what's on your heart, give an
Yeah.
update on your kids.
Yeah. What's been going
Uh,
on? Yeah.
exactly. Other months, we have, as a board of directors, we have a bit more information to provide on,
Hmm.
how we're progressing things on the research side. We're always asking for folks to make sure they're filling out their natural history surveys and things like that are going to help progress that research.
Sure.
So we gave an update, but really organically yesterday, it just led to this it was a 2-hour meeting where people just were, I think, really bonding and sharing experiences over, the really hard things that we're all going through,
Mm,
the really good things too. And what I heard over and over from people in that call was just how grateful they were that we
mm,
existed, that our group
mm.
existed, because they all came to this diagnosis in different ways and in different timelines. But ultimately, when they received that diagnosis, they had the same reaction I did, which was, this is some ultra rare thing. The doctors couldn't tell them anything at the onset, but then they found us and
Mm.
they realized that even if we're separated by continents and oceans, there's something that we have in connection with one another, the 100 of us, right? And that we can find support and community in that. So
Mm.
we really try to just, everything obviously is on Zoom because basically none of us are in the same city.
Right.
Um, and so everything is done over the computer. But, that's the great thing about technology. We're able to connect and build community that
And
way.
make some real connections too, right?
Yeah, agreed.
It's definitely genuine. Hmm.
Yeah, and actually, I just again, it's the timing of this conversation is funny because just this weekend I got to meet a couple of moms face to face for the first time.
Oh, what was
It was
that like?
well, it was hard and beautiful. Unfortunately, we just had one of our patients
Mm.
pass away a week or so
Yeah, I
ago,
remember you told me you
and
had to go to
yeah,
services. Yeah.
yes, and she was actually the one other patient in Houston.
Mm.
Um, that, has the same disorder as my son, and so I had the privilege of attending that celebration of life on Saturday morning, and I got to connect with her family and her parents that day, and it was, as you can imagine, it was gut-wrenching.
There must be.
Um, the next day, I got to meet a different mom who had flown in from Florida. She was in town to, tour the private school where my son attends because
Mm.
she wants to open a similar
No.
for children with disabilities in her state. And so 2 different reasons for meeting those women, but, like, the same instant connection was
Sure.
there for both of them. Our kids are all slightly different. They have different
Of course.
things going on. They're different ages. They've been affected slightly differently, but, like, that didn't matter. The
Mm.
fact that we're all experiencing this ultra rare journey together, it just led to this immediate bond, I think, between
Yeah. What a meaningful thing, right? Just very beautiful and very meaningful.
yeah,
You mentioned a little bit, Kristen, about sort of Jacob's. I know in the rare disease community, you kind of call them diagnostic odysseys and the amount
yeah.
of time it takes to get to a diagnosis. You're doing so much right now to promote more understanding. You're partnering with researchers, clinicians, big institutions. How are you feel like you're doing in terms of creating more awareness and policy change and maybe shortening some of that odyssey for other patients?
I think just in general, it's not necessarily anything that we're doing, alone, but
Mhm.
the world of rare disease, is an incredible, community, and I know that you know this through all of
I've
your
never seen anything
conversations.
like it until I started to learn more about it. Yeah.
Yes, and it's just remarkable, the number of parents that are, like,
Mm.
just forging this path that if they weren't doing it, it just wouldn't be happening.
Sure.
Um But I think that the intensity and the drive that all of these parents have, coupled with just advancements in technology and in
Mm.
testing and in the prevalence of genetic, whole exome sequencing, whole genome sequencing,
Right.
that in and of itself has really started to speed up, the timeline of diagnosis.
Mhm.
So there's still more to be done. I mean, we know certainly in other countries, people don't have as much access to getting genetic testing right
Right.
away, or
Not
it's
even close. Yep.
prohibitively expensive. So we're, as an organization, definitely always advocating for in ways that we can, signing on to letters and things like that
Mm,
to do anything we can to help speed up
mhm.
people's access to that because we
Mm.
know that our timeline to find treatments for our kids is also directly tied to how many more people we can find
Yeah.
and how quickly we can find them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, the more, numbers you have, the greater, scientific evidence you can come up with and things you can test against and find treatments. So, it works against us being so ultra, ultra rare, and so
Right.
therefore, we are definitely motivated to
Mm.
contribute in any way we can to finding those patients that we know are out there. We know there are way more people walking around with the v-ATPase disorder, but perhaps they were born 30 years ago and they're young adults now, or they're older adults and their families are maybe not going to ever seek out genetic testing at this point,
Right. Right.
things like that. And so, yeah, we're always trying to keep our ear to the ground to find other ways to reach people and say that, hey, we're out here, this disorder exists, and please go get tested if you can. Yeah,
Yeah, we need to advocate for that early genetic testing or that accessibility to genetic testing, right?
absolutely.
For
Yeah.
sure. And one of the other things, you mentioned this remarkable world or community that the rare disease community is.
Mhm.
And you and I talked a little bit about this when we first met again. And I think I told you I continue to kind of stand in awe of people like you who don't accept the status quo or don't just think about your own child and your own circumstance, but realize that the strength and the connection of a collective advocacy and the strength of shared experiences and shared commitment is so important. Because again, Kristen, you could just be like, I have to worry about my four men, and that's enough.
Yeah.
Yet you're driven by something so much bigger than that.
Yeah, I think everybody handles this life differently. There's
Yeah.
there's people that um, you know, need to just turn inward and
Mm.
focus on their families and maybe they have a child that really does require tons of medical intervention
Sure. And
and
that's
all of
all they
that.
can do. It's all
And
they can
that's
do
all
is
they can do,
yeah,
and that is fine. There is
totally.
no guilt and no shame in that.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, I think I realized early on that I'm just not the type of person that like I said before, I wasn't satisfied with just getting an answer.
Yeah,
I needed to then go talk and develop a personal relationship with the scientist that discovered his
in Italy.
technique. Yes, exactly, and I promise I'm gonna meet him one day,
Yeah,
in person, but, yeah, I'm the type of person that wants to connect. It helps me feel better about what we're going through. It helps me
mhm,
feel less alone. Um, I don't know if through our efforts we will find something that will help Jacob in the short term,
sure,
maybe in the
sure.
long term. But what I do know for sure is that we're doing something now that's gonna help definitely somebody else in the future.
Right.
If it's not my son or the kids that are in the group right now, it's gonna be sorry, it's
Yeah,
gonna be future generations.
absolutely. And that's really what you're working for, right? Is that drive to those future generations. And thank you,
Yeah.
obviously, for doing that. And thank you to all the members of your important organization. Let's take a breath for a second. And I want to talk to you about how you are forging ahead in collaborating with drug developers, collaborating with regulators, trying to support research here. We know that these ultra rare diseases just don't get the attention, right? I mean, it's unfortunate, but we know it's not diabetes, where literally billions of dollars is poured into diabetes every year, or heart disease or cancer.
Yeah.
So I know that's a big part of what ATPase does. So yeah,
Yeah,
I know it's going to make a mistake at least once.
that's okay.
Can we talk a little bit about the work that you folks are doing to kind of drive treatment forward?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, um there's kind of a couple different ways in which we're tackling it.
Hmm,
Certainly, we are knocking on a lot of doors and
I
having
like it.
tons and tons of meetings with whoever will take the time to meet with us.
Mhm.
Anybody that we can find that has been related to any kind of research on v-ATPase, one interesting thing that I should point out is that v-ATPase is actually documented and proven to affect tumor growth. So when it is overactive, it can actually cause cancer to spread more quickly. And so there's actually ongoing research currently on ways to inhibit v-ATPase. Ironically enough, we're the opposite. So we actually, our kids' v-ATPase is not working as strongly as it should when it has some of these variants. And we actually need to activate it. So, for instance, one route we're trying to take is to find any researchers out there that are working on cancer tumor suppression, to say, hey, maybe through some of your experimentation, you're trying to find an inhibitor, but maybe you found something that did the opposite and activated the v-ATPase or enhanced its ability to function. We need to know about that.
Sure.
We need to connect with you. It has implications in neurodegeneration like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. So trying to connect with people there as well. So not only are we knocking on just every possible door of every researcher that may have mentioned v-ATPase in any paper, and you'll hear more about that when you interview my co-founders, because that's really their forte. And
I'm very excited to do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
They've been incredible at doing that. But the other thing is, going back to the rare disease community, I think that there's becoming a recognition that if you can find a bunch of rare disorders that have similar things going on and form umbrella consortium organizations and work together to find something that can potentially have a positive effect on all of those communities together, then there's value in that as well. So we have been very strategic in joining groups like the Rare Epilepsy Network and Combined Brain, a consortium of neurodevelopmental disorders. There's also an umbrella organization related to autism, genetic etiologies, and autism called Agenda. So we spend a lot of time networking and dialing into regular conference calls with other groups just like ours.
Yeah,
rare disorders with different focuses on the symptoms that our children experience, to find ways to progress research and advocate for policy change and things like that.
The policy change, I'm assuming, must be a big one, especially when we were talking earlier about like the democratization and the accessibility of genetic testing, for example.
Yes.
Right. You need policy change to make that available. Yeah. Kristin, what are you doing with the National Organization for Rare Diseases, NORD? Is there anything you're doing with those folks? Is there a registry for this particular?
So we do have we are definitely fully aware of NORD. We also tap into Global Genes as well, both great organizations that offer incredible resources for small startup rare disease organizations like ours. I mean, they have incredible training resources out there, things to get you going. We have a registry. It's not through NORD. It's on RareX, which is actually under the Global Genes organization.
I see.
But yes, we do have a registry there where we shout out to all my fellow patients. We need you guys to fill out your surveys on RareX.
Get going.
We sound like a broken record. We're always trying to, it's a lot of education. Like, I'm not a scientist. Like, I did not come by any of this stuff easily, right? I've had to learn about what it is we're doing, right? Yeah, exactly. And so I always try to put myself in the shoes of the other people when they're first being diagnosed and they're trying to understand the biology of what this thing is in their kid's body that's gone awry, explaining them in layman's terms that, and then also trying to explain to them like how the whole rare disease world works and how we have to have data points to drive research. And then until we have the data points, the research can't do this and we can't do a drug trial. I mean, it's such a lot. It's a lot to take in. So a lot of what we do as an organization is educate the families, the patient families, on the process and on how they each just play such a huge role. Like we're always telling them the the keys are in our hands. Like,
Yes.
no one knows more about our kids and about this disease. There is no scientist or doctor out there that knows more about this disease
Then
than
you're
we do.
absolutely.
No
You
one.
live it every day. How could they know more? You're living it
We're
24 hours a day, 7 days a
Yeah.
week. Yeah.
We are paving the path. I mean,
Yes.
we are the living, breathing encyclopedias on v-ATPase, and
Mhm.
we have to get it out of our heads and into the right formats to then be studied and broken down and researched and, made useful.
Yeah.
Because if we're just walking around, being experts on our one child and the progression of their disease, that's not helping the larger picture. So it's a lot of education on how that process works and encouragement. I mean, it's hard to take the time to ask
Yeah.
people, hey, we know you have kids that are medically fragile and you have to take care of them and tend to their basic needs, but we also need
But
you
can
to.
you also do this other
Yeah,
thing? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
I'm gonna impress you with my math skills now. Are you ready?
Okay.
So I noticed 11 months ago you were talking about your 1-year anniversary. So
Yes.
that must mean, see, look at my math skills.
Yes, very good.
We're coming up on your 2nd year anniversary.
We are.
Let's
Yes.
talk about that. How does that feel?
It feels great. I mean, it's been a whirlwind. It's
I
been a
bet.
whirlwind. And yeah, we officially formed our 501(c)(3) in November of 2023. So yes, your math is correct. Um, we were just talking about that yesterday on the call. You know, we're very proud of the progress we've made in a
Mhm.
short amount of time.
Yeah, great
And
accolades.
thank you. And a lot of that, I have to give so many props to my co-founders, Anna
Mhm.
Rita and Luis, because
Mm.
their energy and their drive has really like set the pace of
Yeah.
what we've been doing in this organization. So it's been a great team effort. We would love to grow that team even more, and
Mm.
be able to move even faster. But it'll get there. It'll get there in time. The more patients we find, the
All
more
good things in
the
time, right?
more
Yeah.
families, yeah, that we have, the faster the ball starts kind of rolling. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
When it's
Yeah.
all hands on deck, you can move things faster. But we're very proud of everything we've accomplished in this community that we're growing, and yeah, it's just an honor to be a part of it. Really, it fills my cup.
I bet it does. Yeah, and I'm hoping others fill your cup, as a
Yes.
result. Yeah, you've been very humble and you've been very gracious and in thanking your co-founders and how much you really work as a team together. What I'm a little bit interested in, Kristen, is you have this very interesting background that you spent in energy.
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah.
and not to be cute, but you must have to have a lot of energy to do what you do. But tell me a little bit about you and your background in energy and how you kind of take those skills of in marketing and kind of apply them to what you're doing with the v-ATPase Alliance.
Yeah. Thanks for that question.
Mm.
It's not one that I think about a lot, but I have kind of thought about some of the things I did in my past that
Yeah,
have lent itself well to what I'm doing now. Yeah, I was a business major at the University of Texas. Go
hook 'em.
Longhorns. Yeah. And so I moved to Houston, the energy capital of the world,
Yeah, at
especially, or at least here in the United
least
States.
for the US, yeah.
Yeah, to work for BP out of school.
Mhm.
So I had a background. I spent 10 years selling. You're gonna love this. Selling propane and natural gas liquids for our refining business,
Mhm.
and that was fine. It was a great
Sure.
small, just niche industry to be in the larger energy industry, and, Houston was a great place to do that. But what I did sort of in addition to that, and I think where maybe some of that experience was actually sort of prepping me for this, was I got really involved in diversity and inclusion initiatives.
Interesting.
BP was, real early in that, D&I space, and
Before
they had a
yeah,
lot before
before it
before it
became
became a bad word. It
yeah,
was a good word for a long time.
right.
And there was a lot of business resource groups there, for different things, and one of them was, like, the Women's Leadership Network.
Oh,
So,
cool.
I ended up getting involved in that and co-leading that, for our Houston campus
Mhm.
for a few years, and I think that it was a little bit of an experiment in getting to be a leader of a small organization within a company.
Within a large company. Yeah.
Yeah, something I did on my own time. I wasn't being paid to do it.
Right.
But I got a lot out of it. I learned how to network. I learned how to build relationships. Again, I think it's just that drive to connect with people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
and knowing how important like those networks and those connections are, right?
Yeah.
Because you and I get connected, and now all of a sudden I'm connected to all your people. You're connected to all my people.
Yeah.
Right. Just
exactly.
by virtue of that.
You can see the power of that. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that experience probably helped me when the opportunity came up to join the board of this v-ATPase Alliance. I felt good about it.
Yeah.
Could just bring some just basic business skills and things like that. I also, back when Jacob was first born and in the first year of his life having so many medical problems, I did end up I went part-time for a little while, and then even that was still a struggle. I mean, we were dealing with so much that I ended up leaving the workforce. But I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy with that. I couldn't just be at home. I had to find something to do.
The purpose drive. Yeah.
It must just be my personality. So I ended up another plug for an organization here in Houston, the Steel Magnolia Moms.
Cool. I love that name.
An incredible nonprofit started by my friend Elizabeth, and she saw the need for supporting special needs moms on their journey.
Yeah, of course.
So we're all different. We all have kids with different diagnoses. But anyway,
that common thread between
that common thread. And in lieu of me having a diagnosis for my son, I didn't have any other community. Right. I didn't have the Down syndrome, network to join, or the cerebral palsy. Like I didn't have anything to connect with or identify with.
Especially something on the scale and reach of Down syndrome or
exactly. And so Steel Magnolia Moms ended up being just my place of connection with other people that somehow could understand what I was going through.
I love that.
So I was on the board of directors for that organization for a number of years and helped it grow. But that, again, was just like a stepping stone to then being ready to pivot. And then once we received the diagnosis, being able to focus on Jacob's, disorder specifically. So I do think that for me, I'm a person of faith. I feel like God gave me those experiences that led to this point.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And thank you for allowing us to kind of tie all that together. So that's wonderful. Thank you. Let's talk about Jacob for a minute. What is he into? Is he, is he a Longhorns fan like his mom? Or what is he doing?
Oh gosh. I mean, I guess he'll watch a little bit of football if we make him, but Jacob is just a joyful child. He so like I said, he's 12 years old, but he's nonverbal. He deals with cognitive disability, and so he needs assistance with everything in his daily life. But he approaches everything with such joy and energy and tenacity. He just doesn't know how to give up on getting what he wants. And so he's just a beautiful child, and that's the refrain that a lot of parents will say that about their kids, obviously, but
our
group, despite the really hard things these kids go through with, a lot of them have intractable epilepsy, seizures that are just nonstop.
Uncontrollable.
That medicine doesn't control well. Parents are always saying, despite all of that, their kids just continue to smile through it all, and that they just light up a room and they bring so much joy to other people. So
I'm sure he does.
That is Jacob's gift. He has never met a stranger in his whole life. He walks into a room and he'll
just light their heart.
So many people have said, Kristin, oh my gosh, he reached up for my hand and held my hand. And I mean, I hate to admit admitting it now here in public, but he does that to a lot of people. So he makes people feel special. But oh yeah, he does that with everybody.
That's his gift. Yeah, I mean, it really is a gift to make every interaction feel like a special interaction.
Yes,
right? That is most politicians would kill for that gift, right? I mean, they would, because they want that feeling. And how about his brothers? How his brothers? How do they? I mean, I'm going to ask how do they cope? How do they handle the situation?
So his younger brother Travis, like I said, is almost 10, and so I think for him it's like he's never known, well, for both of them, both the younger brothers,
They've never known anything other
they've
than
never
that.
known anything
Yeah.
different.
Sure.
I think there's definitely times where it's hard. It's hard when our family can't do all the things that the other
Certain
families can.
things. Yeah,
Because
I
it's
get it.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
it does end up affecting them.
Yeah.
And so we do try to work as hard as we can to
I
give
bet.
experiences to our 2 other boys, and we're lucky to have good family support that can, they can come take care of Jacob while we take the other 2 out to do something that maybe Jacob just
Can't do.
cannot
Yeah,
do.
for whatever
Yeah.
reason. Yeah. Yeah, that's
Um,
helpful. Sure. Good.
but it's hard. They're loving brothers,
I
and I
bet.
think my prayer is that they will grow up to be, just to have a broader, deeper empathy for other people.
I
They
can't imagine how they
Yeah,
won't. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, because of their lived experience, right? Absolutely.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. Kristen, let's get to the call to action point. You're a former marketer, and now you're a co-founder of an organization that's celebrating its 2nd anniversary.
Yeah.
What's the call to action here today, Kristen? What can we do?
I mean, the call to action, I think, is on my shirt. It's to care about
Care. Yeah.
rare. I think it's, for just any random person in this country, if they're paying attention to legislation and they see a bill that will affect, grants to rare disease research, or like the pediatric review voucher that allows pharmaceutical companies to bring a drug to market that they wouldn't otherwise be able to do.
Mhm.
Though, I mean, all of those things matter. So the call to action is to support us with voting and supporting legislation that enables rare disease research to be faster and more accessible. And that goes then all the way down to just your donations. I
Yeah.
mean, our small little organizations cannot exist without just like radical generosity of our communities.
Sure.
So every dollar, I think, every dollar matters,
Sure.
especially in these
Especially.
early days. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say just be aware of rare disorders. Our kids matter.
Yeah.
They don't get the attention that
Mhm.
the larger, more prevalent disorders get. So please just care about
Just
rare.
please care
and
about rare. I
find a
love it. And
cause. Yeah.
you gave me a new favorite expression, radical generosity. I love that term. I love that term.
Yeah.
Folks, we have been honored and delighted to speak with Kristin Anderson tonight. Kristin, thank you. I know how busy you are. And just to give us this time is a gift. So thank you for giving it to us. And
Yes.
we really appreciate it. And thank you for sharing your very personal story.
Thank you.
And we will be watching everything that you folks are doing. I can't wait to talk to the rest of your organization, other people within v-ATPase Alliance. Thank you for doing that for us. And once again, best of luck to everything in your next year, 2, 3, 5, 10, how many years it takes.
Yes. Thank you, Richard. I really appreciate it.